Yes. Mayor, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
All right, well, looks like you got a full house. You're live. You are recording, and the meeting is yours.
Good, thank you very much. If we could go ahead and call our meeting to order. If I could ask everyone to please stand for a moment of silence, and then David, would you mind leading us in the pledge to the flag? David, we're going to let you lead us in the pledge.
David, can you hear us?
I'll start. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for
which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and
liberty,
justice.
for all.
Before the meeting started, Mayor, I muted everybody, so that might be why. Hear anybody. So everybody should be muted, and when you want to speak, you can unmute.
Okay, thank you. Everyone, Stacy, would you call the, Tracy, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Singer Erdley?
Here.
Mr. Lesby? Mrs. Leslie Mitchell?
Here.
Mrs. Tingle Sames?
Here.
Mr. Showalter?
Here.
Mr. Stone?
Here.
Mrs. Sackett?
Here.
Mr. Thompson?
Here.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is approval of the minutes of our last meeting. If you'd like to take those a minute to look those over for any possible corrections or additions.
I make a motion, we approve them.
Thank you. Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second, Mayor.
Thank you. If there are no questions, all in favor say aye.
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 Importantly, is there anybody opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Each council member should have received in your packet a copy of our latest check register. If you could indicate if you've received that register, please. Thank you. We do have a a guest with us tonight for public comments. Mr. Buddy Hoskins, thank you for joining us, and be glad to give you the floor for a few minutes with the council.
Well, we'll keep it brief. I know your day is long, so thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, council members. My name is Buddy Hoskinson. This is my wife, Stacy Hoskinson. My wife teaches at Southern Elementary, first grade, and I am the unemployment insurance director for the state of Kentucky. So we moved to Ward Hall Manor 3 years ago, 3 summers ago. Before that, we lived in the stables. We've been a part of your community for 14 plus years. We're having issues with our property. When we moved, let me make clear first that we did understand that there were 5 empty lots around us. No, we knew that was going to be built upon. So please know that we did understand that. It was a growing community. We moved to downsize. We love facing Ward Hall Manor. That's a beautiful property to sit and look at every day. When we moved here, our property level with the adjacent lots were pretty much level. What we've had and what we've experienced for the past 2 years is the builder, the owner, the developer of those lots, bringing in hundreds of loads of dirt to build those up, which is now causing us to have drainage issues. So much so that my wife won't even tell you the number of times we have to pressure wash our patio to get the mud running off and get it cleaned up. We spent $3,000 this summer that we're happy to provide you receipts to put drainage tanks around our patio and French drains in. And we continue to still get the water runoff from the builder and developer. Now, I will tell you that we have spoken to Mr. Hightower, your all city engineer, at least 3 times, and he is still working with us. So thank you very much for that. The builder, so you all will know, has put sod down, taken sod up, put sod back down, at least 3 occasions. So whenever he gets a little bit of pressure, he will put down the sod, will put back the silt fencing, or put straw up. It still is not eliminating the problem that we have, which is the water issue. Again, we understand that we are on a part where it runs down, but it wasn't running down to the level that it was. And all we're asking for is to get some assistance so that we don't continue. We have drainage issues. We know that he's just not running the water to the street to go to the underneath, the drainage underneath. So that's why we were sharing this with you. We appreciate the council members who responded back. We would just like to have a resolution, as we want to keep our house looking really nice as we go into hopefully retirement someday soon, and stay within your community. So we wanted to bring that to your all's attention and hope that we can get some resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Hodgkinson. I'm pleased that you've reported that Mr. Hightower has been working with you and has been responsive. I know that Eddie is scheduled, I think, to get with you Wednesday of this week.
Yes, sir.
On site. So I'm glad that he responded to you quickly today and set that appointment for you for Wednesday. And I do think that for the council's benefit, what we'll ask Eddie to do is see if we can help from a city perspective with some issues that the owner may be having with the developer. If we have a city responsibility, we want to address that. Or if we can help the Hoskinsons interact with their builder in a more positive, or excuse me, their developer in a more positive way, then I think we want to do that. So I think it's helpful that you've let the council know of your concerns. And Eddie, I'm sure you'll keep me and the council up to date about those other conversations. And Mr. Hodgkinson and Mrs. Hoskinson's council may have questions for you all as well.
Can we just say quickly that we are not the original owner? We bought this house at 2 years old. And so the developer keeps telling us over and over again that he has no responsibility to us. And what we keep saying back is, I understand that you don't have to repair anything in my home, but you're altering the land around us, which then makes you have responsibility to us and to the drainage. And that's really where the issue lies. We're not asking for anything that would not be suitable or reasonable. And as we talked with Eddie today, the builder has decided to put up a fence that is now almost 8 foot tall beside our house. It sits 2 feet off the ground. which would be against your all section 4151 of your regulations for code violation. That what we're told is he's going to backfill that. And what we're just trying to understand is how is he going to keep that land, that dirt from coming over onto our property? If he is trying to get it to the street, could we get some concrete information to know how that is? Because there are also electrical boxes on the property that if he's bringing that much dirt in, he will be covering up the electrical boxes that KU and other folks have to get into.
I have a question I'd like to ask Eddie. What has been done in circumstances like this in the past for other developments? Is there, any protocol that's been followed?
Holly, this is Andrew. Unfortunately, Eddie is still trying to get onto the meeting. We're having some.
Oh, he is? Okay.
I
Can you
apologize.
clarify, Andrew, I'm having a hard time hearing too. Let me just turn.
I'm sorry, could you ask your question again?
Oh, okay. All right. My
Internet on this side of town's cutting out, and I know the Hoskinsons is too a little bit when I've heard them talk. We're kind of close to each other. My question, Andrew, I guess, is what has been done on instances like this before that the Hoskinsons are going through? What's been the protocol in the past that the city or planning and zoning has dealt with?
I think it depends on the situation, but usually we try through our engineer's office or through planning and zoning to work directly with the developer. We have had neighborhood stormwater drainage issues from adjacent development issues. There are folks on this council who will remember similar issues in Derby Estates, and I can't remember the name of the other area, but we've usually been successful in negotiating with the developer to try to come up with a correct resolution. I am unfortunately not super familiar with the facts other than pictures I've seen, but I do know that Eddie is going to go out there on Wednesday, and hopefully we'll all have a little more info to go on after that. I think particularly with water, everything is an individual circumstance. You have to look at it that way. So I'm confident that we'll be able to at least have further conversation with the developer on this.
Okay, yeah, I guess probably if we could kind of see too what other cities do, because it seems like it has been a problem, and anything that, that we can do to, make things better for people, because I know it's extremely frustrating. And and just if Eddie can keep us apprised when he goes out there this week, that would be good.
Absolutely, we'll make sure we report back.
Okay.
Hey, Mayor, this is David. If you can hear me now.
Yes.
I apologize. I had some troubles early on, but what about planning and zoning with their engineer, Ben Krebs? Have they been brought into the loop? I feel like that I did read something about that, but I may have missed some of the conversation just a little while ago about that.
Yes, I will tell you that they have been brought into the loop, and what they tell us the process is once the plat and the development is approved, they do not come back out for the middle or the ending. And I work in government too. We're all short manpower. So, I understand that. But when we have such a change in the topography of the land, and I think an email from Ben Krebs that's dated June 1st, he even acknowledges that the water should run towards the street. And yes, that the builder should probably have done better job at what he was doing. And it only seems to be that, again, when we get others involved, does he do anything slightly to try to get, no offense, everybody off of his back a little bit? And, but at the same time, we still are cleaning up. Even this weekend, just so you all know, we had no rain this weekend. Mm-hmm. However, the builder had watering of the sod that was put down, and we continue to have water doing nothing but rushing across that particular part of the section into our drainage tank. So when I spoke to Eddie about that today, if there was some type of swell or something that guided to the street, all we're asking for is, can we get a good understanding, of why we have an 8-foot fence now that's got 2 feet off the ground if you're going to backfill, and what are you going to do to block that dirt from not coming over to us? And truly, how are you going to get it to the street? Because that's all we're asking for. we just didn't have that 3 years ago. We understand we're not the original owner, and we're not asking of anything else.
And this was John Barlow. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, obviously they've got quite a history here in Georgetown, and they're planning on being here for quite some time. So hopefully they'll work with us and work with you all to address and remedy this issue.
Thank you. And we appreciate that again. And I hope that the city council will use this as a risk factor when we're working with developers to develop something to say, hey, you have had some issues. We need to do a better job with some of our old regulations and guidelines. And gosh knows, I mean, I say that because I know at the state government, we have guidelines all the time that are 1978 that we need to update.
Good idea.
I am pleased that our staff responded immediately today, has an appointment set for Wednesday. And I think what other cities do is try to respond quickly and get our engineer on site to work with the property owners. And that's what we'll do in this case.
Thank you all so much. We know you have a lot of business to take care of this evening. We thank you. We appreciate everything you all do on a daily basis.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
we're
Thank
happy-
you.
We're happy for you to mute yourself and stay on and watch the meeting if you'd like, but
Mr.
that's up
Mayor?
to you.
I have about 80 emails of unemployment insurance that I need to get to. So I need to work on making sure some people get their unemployment insurance this evening.
And they will appreciate that, and so does your city council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Tracy, excuse me, Tracy. Was that the only public comment that we have tonight?
Yes, sir, it was.
Thank you. Under mayor's comments, just a couple of things. First off, if we could, since it was brought up, I thought I would, and we have had, I think, a fairly positive approach to the issue, to the growing issue of homelessness in Georgetown and Scott County. I thought it would be helpful, since Devin is a member of Judge Covington's task force that's been working on this issue, if she could update the council on just what that task force has been doing and what the opportunities are.
Absolutely. So actually it's kind of timely. We met this morning via Zoom. Our meetings look a lot different now. We used to meet in council chambers and kind of circle up, and it was a great forum for discussion. And but we met via Zoom this morning, and just to let you know some of the partners who are at the table for these meetings, we've got the Amen House, Elizabeth's Village, Transform Scott County, Habitat for Humanity, Gathering Place Mission, obviously both local governments, and then the school district and the extension office. So those are the parties who were there this morning. We've also got some others who've attended on a regular basis who just couldn't make it this morning. So it's a pretty comprehensive group of community partners and a lot of different perspectives. Obviously, the government perspective, we hear certain things, whereas these local nonprofits hear different things, and they're more boots on the ground and honestly know heads and shoulders more than I do or Joe Pat does about the issue in our community. So we've at this point met about 10 to 12 times, going through a strategic planning process where we can determine how we can serve this population and address this huge need in our community. So we've considered root causes of homelessness. We've spoken with members of the homeless community in Georgetown and Scott County, and we're in the process of formulating solutions that we think could make a positive impact for this population in the city and county. So that's a really broad overview of what we've been doing over the last, I don't know, I guess it's been 8 months. And this morning we were able to regroup. Obviously, our ability to meet has been limited, so we've met very little since COVID started. But this morning's meeting, I said, let's take this opportunity to kind of regroup and talk about how COVID may have exacerbated certain challenges for these vulnerable citizens. And it's stuff you really don't even think about. The school district provided a really interesting perspective about some language barriers and all the constructive evictions that are happening. Obviously, there's a ban on evictions, but a lot of people don't have a lease, especially people who are in this really low income population. So they might be on somebody's couch and that person says, this is too much, or the health concern's too much. And so, that explains a lot of the spike in homelessness, not to mention food insecurity, domestic violence issues. So it was really good to get that full perspective from all those agencies, because, we only see what's in front of our faces every day in our careers. So, the moral of the story is we have a lot of challenges to address there, but the good news is we have some really great community partners and a lot of caring people in Georgetown and Scott County. So I don't know if any of you, I'll give one specific shout out. The Gathering Place Mission has recently hired a new executive director, and his name is Andrew Baker, and he was able to participate in this morning's call. So it was really great to meet him. Obviously, Donna Darnell did fantastic work there, founding the organization and really has served Georgetown well. So if you get an opportunity to meet Andrew, I really recommend it. He's really excited to serve, and he's ready, just like all these other community partners, to be boots on the ground to address homelessness in our community. On a positive note, here are some steps that are happening. We're having conversations with low-income housing developers, and talking about where there's opportunity for them in Georgetown and Scott County. The fiscal court is pursuing a white flag shelter for the winter. So individuals who have nowhere to stay when the weather drops below a certain temperature, those individuals will have a place to go for the night, and we can connect community partners to them, talk to them about getting signed up for food assistance, or maybe talk to them about what we can do to help them advance themselves. A lot of these people who are experiencing homelessness are employed, and it's crazy to think it's an issue of affordable housing and pay issues. It's really hard when there's no affordable housing to make it work with minimum wage. But one other thing that's happening, and this is obviously a Scott County fiscal court thing in affiliation with the jail, but the court is working with the Shepherd's House to meaningfully address addiction issues in our county, which is fantastic. That's huge. I don't know if you're familiar with that organization, but I encourage you to read about them. I can send some information if you'd like, but that's a huge issue because obviously folks struggling with addiction, end up burning some bridges and they might not have anywhere to go. So that's a huge step for Georgetown and Scott County. And I appreciate the fiscal court for working on that. But that's kind of a general overview about what we're talking about in this group. We've really come a long way with the strategic planning, but as with any really complex situation, there's no one answer. So we're continuing to strengthen, community relationships and address this. But I don't know if that's the summary you're hoping for, Mayor, but that's, I think, the quickest summary I can give for now. I'd be glad to provide more information to any council members if you'd like.
Yeah, just an overview. Yes, any questions?
No, I just wanted to thank Devin for the overview. It's very helpful. And one of the biggest questions that I get, as I'm sure as a lot of the other council members get, is about the low income housing, because a lot of the housing is, it's very nice, but it's just not that affordable. So the low income housing developers and talking to them, I think, is a huge first step. And it sounds like you all have made a lot of good progress. And I was glad to know about the Gathering Place. I volunteer there once a month. So I did not know Donna had left. So, but thank you so much for the update. I think it's very helpful, and to see, what's going on and to get a broader perspective. Very much
Mayor, I have a question for Devin, if I could.
Yes, ma'am.
Devin, do you have any statistics? Do they know if the folks that we've seen such an increase in it, and I do think part of it could be COVID related, but are they people from Scott County? Are they people coming into Scott County looking for assistance? There was a couple here this weekend that was actually out at Walmart, and as the story goes, was that he was a veteran. She was actually ill, and they got let go from their home, but they weren't from Georgetown. They got let go in Lexington, and they traveled into Georgetown, and they're kind of staying in their vehicle, so to speak, in Georgetown. So they've been reported out there several times, and I tried to go out there to look to see if I could help any, but I couldn't find them. So I was just wondering, are these people from Georgetown or are they from out of town coming into Georgetown looking for that assistance?
I don't know. I do know, and I'll tell this, it's just anecdotal, obviously wouldn't identify a person, but in my experience with the Amen House Board, it's true. People want to come to Georgetown because they want to come to Georgetown for a number of reasons, but this one couple that was applying for some financial assistance indicated that they are both, I don't know, 2 years sober or something like that. And wherever they had moved from was such a toxic environment for them. And they wanted to be in Georgetown, and they weren't homeless, but they needed a little bit of help getting started. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing people from other communities, but no, we don't have any statistics on that. I know obviously Georgetown's a less violent community than a really big city like a Louisville. So that could be a factor, but to answer your question about statistics, no, we don't have those.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And Chief Swanigan, Chief Bossy on several occasions has indicated that he believes part of our growing homelessness issue could be the fact that Lexington's homeless scene is becoming more violent.
That is correct, Mayor. We're seeing that, and we've actually heard that from our interactions with some of our homeless community. A lot of times they'll get taken advantage of in Lexington, or it's an unsafe environment, and Georgetown's the next city over, and they show up, and we can provide services for them.
Yeah, I'm not, it's a hard group to get statistics on, but I think Karen's question is fair. I think that population is probably very fluid to start with.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions for Devin?
If you think of any other questions or want any information, just shoot me an email. I'd be glad to chat about it. Or if any constituents have questions, be glad to answer those as well.
Thank you. A couple of other mayor comments. We are very close to have a functioning right in, right out at Walmart. Most of the hard construction improvements are complete. I think there's some striping and some lane indicators that still have to be done. And we've decided to get with the Chamber of Commerce and let the Chamber of Commerce help us schedule a ribbon cutting for that right in, right out. I think we'd like to draw attention to the fact that there's another way to get in and out of that traffic situation. So a ribbon cutting might help us do that. Also, we're very close to finishing the project on Maddox Street that has bothered council members for a very long time. All the piping has been installed to get rid of the wet water that was always coming across Maddox Street. We're only waiting on the paving to be done, and our paving contractor is a little bit busy trying to finish up the bypass right now. So I think we'll be next on that. Very pleased to report that on Hazardous Material Disposal Day, even though it seemed to me like it was shorter notice than usual, we had the highest volume we've ever had of citizens take advantage of that. We had over 1,000 cars go through the TMMK lot that day to drop off various electronics or chemicals or pesticides or insecticides. So huge success, and I want to congratulate the council for including $10,000 in your budget to help with that exercise. And that is all of the mayor's comments I have today. Item 7 on your agenda, we have a guest with us tonight. Delighted to welcome Mary Franny. Sorry, Mary. Mary is with the Parks and Recreation Department. And what Mary is here to do is, let me set this up so it's fair to Mary. I know that council will be discussing trick or treat and what your feelings are on trick or treat. I see some folks have already pulled the trigger on Facebook polls about that. But what Parks and Recreation has done, not to step in front of the council, but to offer what could be an alternative for people who choose not to trick or treat. Mary's has an idea that Parks and Recreation wanted to talk about, and council will reserve the right to talk about trick or treat. But we wanted Mary to tell you what one alternative might look like. Is that fair, Mary?
Absolutely fair. You all hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so it is just an alternative or an option, however you all want to take it. Do with it as you will. But we are looking at a drive-through trick-or-treat option for those who don't feel comfortable going through neighborhoods or whatever regulations or suggestions may be put upon our area, our city and county. Of doing a drive-through trick-or-treating in Brooking Park, which is the park in front of Scott County High School. Doing a drive-through trick-or-treating there, combining it with our community. So asking churches or organizations, just people, neighborhoods, to help us sponsor candy and stations so that parents can drive their kids through a safe area for trick-or-treating. And then after that's complete, offering a drive-in movie or a sit-in movie at one of our parks, at Scott County Park, just across the street, actually. For those, and allowing them to get out of their cars at that point and do a sit-in movie. Lexington Parks and Recreation has done many concerts in their parks in a style that I would be doing this with, and have felt very safe and had great responses with it. So it's kind of a twofold trick or treat for all ages.
Good. Thank you, Mary. They came up with this idea kind of just to help and give us an idea. And we want to invite Mary to at least be able to talk with the council about that. And
I have a question. What date and time and all that were you planning on doing it? Were you doing it that Saturday or?
So we were really kind of hoping that there would be some quicker set regulations to try and make that decision. So for example, if there were no regulations or anything put on our citizens, then maybe doing it the Friday before, since Halloween's on Saturday, so that everyone can participate in everything if they wanted to. If there were some harsher regulations or guidelines set down, then doing it on Saturday to try and mitigate and take the place of. It really kind of depended on what happens. If there are no or if nothing comes out quick enough, my choice would be to do it on Friday before. And we would do trick-or-treating at 3 until about 6, with the movie starting at 7. Sundown is at 6:40, I think, on October 31st.
Okay. And Mary, I don't think we're gonna, one thing's for certain, I don't think City of Georgetown is gonna tell people that it is illegal to walk door to door anywhere.
I don't think they.
And I'm pretty certain City of Georgetown is not gonna arrest children for those activities. So it'll be a real question or not as to whether or not the city council wishes to designate a certain night and actually be in effect the organizer of it. But I can assure you, we're not going to take action against anyone that wishes.
No, if there were any statements put out, we wanted to go in line with those.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a comment, actually. I like the idea of what Parks and Recreation is proposing, because I did do that Facebook post jumped out there because I had heard that this CDC was talking about, that they were talking about not wanting trick or treat and things like that. And the comments back and forth on it, where some people were commenting, well, what can you do to stop it? And well, nothing. If you want to go door to door, you can go door to door. You can't, well, I guess we could, but we're not, as you said, we're not going to. But it'd be nicer to have it organized as the city says, yes, these are the times that people could expect you. But there was a few people, not many, but a few people that still felt unsafe, unsure, that type of thing. So your idea, if we did citywide trick or treat on the 31st and Parks and Recreation did what they're wanting to do on the 30th, that actually kind of gets both. If you don't feel comfortable, let your kids go trick or treat, then you've got that option. And if you do feel comfortable and residents want to have their light on to accept the kids, then so you've got the best of both worlds. So I like the idea of what Parks has proposed.
Thank you.
It's nice.
Any other questions for Mary? Good conversation. Mary, thank you for your all's idea. And it sounds to me like you're going to find a receptive audience, especially for a Friday night.
Yeah, I think so. I've gotten good feedback from anyone I've talked to thus far, including you all. So
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mary.
thank you.
Item 8 on the agenda under GMWSS. Chase, you've got a couple of things.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. Georgetown Municipal has one purchase order and 2 contracts for council consideration tonight. And the first is a purchase order for Evoqua Water Technologies, and that is for our quarterly carbon changeout at wastewater treatment plant 2. And this is a budgeted item, and it is bid through our unit price contract. Purchase order is in the amount of $48,870. Take any questions on the purchase order if you have any.
Motion,
Motion,
Mayor.
Mayor.
Motion's been made. Marvin, that was a close second.
Connie's fast.
Connie is very fast. That was a second, right, Marvin?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. If there are no questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? That carries. Go right ahead.
Our second item of business is a bit unusual, but we have a lease agreement for council consideration. And we've been in discussion with the Scott County Revenue Commission for a number of months. Back before coronavirus started, we started these talks, and that was about them leasing office space from us at our administration building, and that would get them relocated from the planning and zoning basement. And so Georgetown Municipal staff and council, as well as the Revenue Commission staff and council, have been working on a lease agreement, and we've gotten this drafted. Our Board of Commissioners has approved the lease agreement, and we're just happy to have the opportunity to work with the Revenue Commission, an agency that we feel is a partner, and it seems like it will work out well for them, that they can use space that we have. And I'm happy to answer any questions on the lease agreement or just how this will shake out.
We've been working on this for some time. Scott Hall's been looking for a more appropriate location for the Revenue Commission. They have difficulty now in their current place having confidential conversations with tax filers that come in, and it's just not the best environment for them. GMWSS has this space, great parking, great availability. The offices actually have windows rather than being in a basement. They have room for a conference room. I think there's been a lot of due diligence go into it. We recognize that this is GMWSS board recognizes that this is a lease with a fellow government agency that's going to be very stable in their occupancy and their rent payments and their ability to upfit and be good partners. So we're just a touch below market, but we're being fair with GMWSS and fair with another arm of government.
I have a question, Mayor. What will you do with the space in the old library in the basement? Then will that be used by planning and zoning, or is there other plans for it?
Yeah, that building is owned by the county and run by planning and zoning. I have no idea what they'll do with it, Karen.
Okay.
What I did think was kind of funny is the county owns the building, but the Revenue Commission was paying rent to planning and zoning.
Okay.
But anyway, there'll be the cost of this lease is $24,000 a year.
Mayor, that sounds like a really good idea, and it sounds like a really good location for them. A lot more accessibility and everything. Do you need a motion on that lease, Mayor?
Please.
Motion.
Motion's been made, and there was a second. Oh, second. Thank you, Tammy. If there are no questions for Chase, all in favor say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? They are working on the electronic switchover, the security switchover. So they think this occupancy move can happen before the end of the year. I think it's a really positive thing for Revenue Commission. Chase, item C, I assume this is a recurring renewal that we need to do with this contract?
Yes, sir. This is the third addendum to our purchase agreement with Frankfurt Plant Board, and Georgetown Municipal has actually been purchasing water from Frankfurt Plant Board since 1990. And we're required, actually, or not required, but we have to purchase water from them to meet our current daily demands. And we purchase a minimum through this contract of 250,000 gallons per day that we use, and we can purchase up to a little over 2 million gallons a day. As you may or may not know, we're currently advertising for an engineering study to help us better understand our future water needs as a utility to serve Georgetown and Scott County, our service area. But with this being a 10-year lease, we don't ever anticipate, no matter what the results are of this engineering study, we don't ever anticipate a scenario where we will not purchase water from Frankfurt Plant Board. We have a great partnership with them as a fellow utility, and again, this is something that we have to have, and we actually made minor adjustments to the addendum this year that gives us a little bit more leeway to renegotiate if it's beneficial to both parties. And I actually think we will see in the next few years some renegotiation to possibly even get us to a wholesale rate. We're not ready for that yet, but I think we will be. And I think that they will welcome us purchasing more water to get us to that wholesale rate, and we will have to have it. So this again is a 10-year contract with Frankfurt Plant Board, and our board has recommended this for approval, and I'm recommending to council for approval.
Motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Really important issues that we need to lock down. If there are any questions, if there are no questions for Chase, all in favor say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? That passes. Thank you, Chase.
Hey, Chase, a quick question on
Yes,
the water usage from Frankfurt.
Yes, sir.
Do you use it all every day, or is it only during dry periods, or
We purchase, and our minimum purchase is 250,000 gallons, and we use that. And even if we didn't need it, we have to purchase it in order to flush the force main that ties our system to theirs. So whether we needed it for demand or not, we have to keep that water fresh in that connection, and that's the amount that it takes. But with our current demand, based on our population growth, we're using that and then some. I honestly don't know if we've purchased the minimum in quite some time.
Yeah, that's interesting. Thanks.
Thanks, Eddie.
Okay. Chase, you got anything else for the council tonight?
No, sir.
Anything for Chase tonight? Thank you, Chase.
Thank you all.
Okay. Under item 9, city attorney, item A is a resolution addressing general fund revenues available following 911 service fee imposition. Tracy, would you like to read the resolution, or Devin or Karen? Does somebody need to set it up, or can we read it?
You can read it. It's from our conversation from last council meeting to kind of reassure the folks in the community that we're trying to take the money that's offset from the budget from the 911 fee and make sure that it goes to the first responders, because we consider them quite important to us and we need them, especially with all the changing going on in the world these days. So it's a synopsis.
Go right ahead, Tracy.
A resolution of the Georgetown City Council expressing its intent that general fund revenues available as a result of the implementation of the 911 service fee be used for first responder salary increases. Whereas the Georgetown City Council, via Ordinance 2020-13, unanimously approved the imposition of a 911 service fee to fund its annual budget allocation for the Georgetown Scott County 911 Center. And whereas the city's contribution to the 911 Center was historically drawn from general fund revenues, and whereas all funds generated from the 911 service fee will be strictly allocated to the 911 Center's budget, allowing the general fund to retain the funds previously allocated to this department. And whereas it is the intention of this council that those available general funds be assigned to provide salary increases for first responders as evidenced by Municipal Order 2020-40. Now therefore be it resolved by the City of Georgetown that the Georgetown City Council supports its first responders and through passage of this resolution expresses its intent that the imposition of 911 service fee directly cover the city's obligation for the Georgetown Scott County 911 Center, and via the relief given to the general fund, provide salary increases for the first responders employed by the City of Georgetown.
Thank you. Is there a motion for approval?
Motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Mayor, quick question. Did Devin or Andrew draft that ordinance or that resolution rather?
Devin drafted the resolution.
Well, I don't see any reason not to reassure our citizens where that money is going. Is there any reason not to, Devin or Andrew?
No, it's, and we've discussed this. Resolutions are, for all intents and purposes, non-binding, but they're a great way to express what a council feels or intends. They don't bind future councils. They don't run awry of statutory budget ordinance requirements. So there's, like Mayor said, I did draft this, and legally it's completely fine.
Good deal.
David, I think it's fairly benign. It has little practical impact, and if folks want to take the political step of passing it, there's no damage done. Any other questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Thank you. That carries. Item B under City Attorney, first reading of the ordinance adopting a new code, a compilation of the city's code of ordinances. Sponsors Mr. Lesby and Ms. Tackett. Tracy?
An ordinance adopting and enacting a new code for the City of Georgetown, Kentucky. Summary 1. Adopts and enacts a new code for the City of Georgetown, Kentucky, which removes inconsistencies, renumbers the code, provides grammatical, tense, and gender corrections, provides a penalty for the violation of the code, and provides for the manner of amending said code. 2. Provides for repeal of certain ordinances, severability of provisions, and effective date upon passage and publication. The full text of this ordinance is available for examination in the City Clerk's Office, 100 North Court Street, Georgetown, Kentucky, 40324, or at www.georgetownky.gov. Introduced and publicly read for the first time September 28, 2020.
Thank you, Tracy. That will be first reading. That's a really lengthy document that you've gotten a link to, but it updates all of our ordinances. It cleans up a lot of our code where we may have passed ordinances where we say we replace all old ordinances that may be in conflict. These exercises go back and clean up those things in our code. So this is a really exhaustive piece of the link that you have, but that's what the purpose is. Devin, be glad to answer any questions. Yes, ma'am, Polly.
Yeah, I did have a question for Devin. I was just reading through it, and on, if you could just help me, Devin. On page 38 at the bottom under section 4, it says, unless another penalty is provided, every person convicted of a violation of any provision of the code or any ordinance, rule, or regulation adopted or issued in pursuance thereof shall be punished by a fine not exceeding $500 or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 30 days or by both such fine and imprisonment. What is that for exactly? On
That's
that?
that's a default cleanup that the codifiers recommend, where we establish penalties for any violation already, but they're establishing that so that there could never be a penalty greater than that for any violation. So it's essentially to say you could never have an excessive penalty where one's not provided by code. But generally speaking, all of our provisions provide a penalty, especially obviously we refer to the code enforcement where we've established a class 1, 2, and 3. But they recommend putting that as a cleanup to protect violators essentially from excessive penalty where it's not provided.
So the 30 days in jail or $500, that could be for code. What else could that be for?
No, it could be for any violation of the entire code of ordinances, but that's to provide where it's a criminal penalty. That's for a judge to use that as a resource so that judge knows that they can't penalize that person in excess of 30 days.
In excess of that. Okay.
Yeah. And like Mayor said, this is our last codification was in 2016, I believe. So when citizens go to our website, they see the full code and then they see a bunch of links to all the ordinances we've passed in the meantime. So this is a great, it's been a while coming, but it's a great opportunity for us to put everything back into the code and allow citizens and employees and elected officials to more easily navigate what the true code is right now. It also cleans up, like Mayor said, some grammatical issues or anything that, any inconsistencies with our own code that the codifiers caught. So, I'd be glad to answer future questions about that. But like Mayor said, I'll share the link with you all so that you can see where we've implemented all those recently passed ordinances.
Okay, that'd be helpful. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Let's see. Devin, did that finish up city attorney?
Believe so. I think that was all I
Thank
had.
you. Under city engineer, we have 2 municipal orders approving renewal of demolition contracts. And these are the contracts that we periodically use through code enforcement. We go ahead and put the demolition contracts in place now, much like we do unit prices on asphalt and stone. And then we can purchase those during the year and save the council that extra step. Also with Blaze Enterprises LLC, they are the contractor we're working with to take down the rear portion of 130 East Main Street. That where we purchased the back end of that building to accommodate future parking activity on that side of Main Street. So these will be ongoing contracts and we will specifically use Blaze for this upcoming demolition.
Mayor, would you like a motion for both those municipal orders at the same time?
Please.
Motion.
Second, Mayor.
And second, thank you, Marvin. Are there any question about these 2 contracts?
I have a quick question. How much was put in the budget for this? Use it-
For the demolition itself, there is 15,000 in the budget amendment that you'll be approving tonight. Pretty much everything else falls under code enforcement. If the demolition occurs in the city, that comes out of our code enforcement budget. If the demolition occurs in another jurisdiction, then we turn around and bill them and they reimburse us the cost.
So what was the total cost in the budget for demolition and code enforcement? Was there a line item for that?
There's $100,000 for abatement cost.
Okay, that's what I thought.
But that covers demos, mowing, boarding up buildings. That covers everything.
Okay.
And Karen, we real specifically designed it so that code enforcement could work for all 3 cities in the county from an administrative point of view. But when each jurisdiction wanted to do improvements and actually go out and do the work in their jurisdiction, we knew that they needed to be responsible for their own work. Ladyville, Stamping Ground, Georgetown, Scott County. So the mediation that we have to do, we pay for, but we jointly share the cost of running code.
Gotcha.
These contracts, so we bid this out last year and we ended up going with 2 contractors for different size buildings. And so council approved that with 2 annual renewals. So both of these contractors held their prices from last year for these renewals. Just, I don't know if we included it. I think we might have included last year's contracts with it, but just so the council knows, these are the same prices as last year's contract.
Sounds good. We got a motion and a second. Did I call for a vote yet?
No.
Okay, thank you. If there are no more questions, all in favor say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Thank you, that carries. Item 11 on our agenda under Human Resources is second reading of an amendment to the personnel ordinance where we had to change some pay grades to take care of our recent salary adjustments. Sponsors, Ms. Mitchell and Mr. Showalter.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'll step out of this one.
Okay, you may recuse yourself. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
An ordinance amending Georgetown Code of Ordinances, Article 4, Section 2, 111C, to increase the maximum annual compensation for grades 7 and 10 in the schedule of compensation. Summary 1, amends Article 4, Section 2, 111C of the Code of Ordinances, which sets forth the schedule of compensation to increase the maximum compensation amount for grade 7 to $65,000 and grade 10 to $83,000. 2, provides for repeal of inconsistent ordinances, severability of provisions, and an effective date upon passage and publication. The full text of this ordinance is available for examination in the City Clerk's Office, 100 North Court Street, Georgetown, Kentucky, 40324, or at www.georgetownky.gov. Introduced and publicly read the first time September 14th, 2020. Publicly read the second time September 28th, 2020.
Thank you. Is there a motion for approval?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
Second.
I second it.
And Todd, I think Tammy barely beat you.
That's fine.
It's a split second thing tonight, apparently. If there are no questions about that personnel ordinance, Tracy, call the roll.
Mrs. Tingle Sames,
Yes.
Mrs. Lesby Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Lesby,
Yes.
Mrs. Singer Erdley,
Yes.
Mr. Showalter,
Yes.
Mr. Stone,
Yes.
Mrs. Tackett,
Yes.
Mr. Thompson. Oh, you recused yourself. I'm sorry.
Thank you. So that carries on a 7 to 0 vote with Marvin recusing. There. Oh, thank you, Devin. I just saw your email come in with the summary of the homelessness report.
And my Outlook was acting up, so I finally got back into it and I could hit send.
Okay, thank you. Item 12 on your agenda under finance is second reading of the budget amendment ordinance. Sponsors Ms. Tackett and Mr. Lesby. Tracy, go right ahead. I know you love reading budget amendment summaries.
An ordinance amending the annual budget ordinance for fiscal year July 1, 2020 through June 30, 2021. Summary, general fund. Prior year revenues are increased by $188,737.87. Occupational license fee revenue is increased by $300,000. Intergovernmental revenue is decreased by $994,249.63. General government expenses are increased by $107,110. City clerk expenses are increased by $1,016. Building inspection expenses are increased by $5,078. Police expenses are increased by $341,021. Fire expenses are increased by $313,162. Dispatch expenses are decreased by $1,778,871.26. Code enforcement expenses are increased by $22,539. Public works expenses are increased by $16,911. Transfers to other funds are increased by $466,522.50. 911 telecommunications fund. License and fee revenue is increased by $565,362. Intergovernmental revenue is increased by $1,153,841.49. Transfers from other funds are increased by $310,645.50. Telecommunication expenses are increased by $1,730,182.98. Other expenses are increased by $189,575.34. Drug fund. Prior year revenues are decreased by $954. State drug fund expenses are decreased by $954. Grant fund. Prior year revenues are increased by $22,230.67. Police expenses are increased by $22,230.67. Environmental Services Fund. Intergovernmental revenues are increased by $1,371. Transfers from other funds are increased by $148,815. Sanitation expenses are increased by $17,673. Recycling expenses are increased by $2,742. Storm water expenses are increased by $148,815. Cemetery Fund. Intergovernmental revenues are increased by $7,062. Transfers from other funds are increased by $7,062. Cemetery expenses are increased by $14,124. Capital Projects Fund. Intergovernmental revenues are decreased by $311,296.05. Other revenues are increased by $348,500. Capital expenses are decreased by $274,092.10. All ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance are hereby repealed. This ordinance shall take effect after its passage and publication according to law. The full text of this ordinance is available for examination in the City Clerk's Office, 100 North Court Street, Georgetown, Kentucky, 40324, or at www.georgetownky.gov. Publicly introduced and read for the first time September 14th, 2020. Publicly read the second time September 28th, 2020.
Thank you, Tracy. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to accept.
Thank you, Todd.
Second, Mayor.
And second, Marvin, thank you. If there are any questions, Stacy or Connie or David to answer those. And if there are none, Tracy will call the roll.
Mrs. Singer-Erdley?
Yes.
Mr. Lesby?
Yes.
Mrs. Lesby Mitchell?
Yes.
Mrs. Tingle Sames?
Yes.
Mr. Showalter?
Yes.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mrs. Tackett?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Thank you. That completes second reading of the budget amendment ordinance. Item 13 on your agenda. I'm really glad to see Assistant Chief Swanigan on here because if you'll notice in your packet, you've got somewhere between 10 to 15 pages of surplus items that are asking to be surplused. And I thought Assistant Chief Swanigan could explain to us line by line what all of those surplus items are. Actually, Chief, I think they're mostly have to do with our radio installation and their various radio parts. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct. That is the remnants of the old radio system that we desperately hope we can recoup some money from. There's actually some pretty good radios in there that might be usable for somebody else in public safety or the private sector. So we're hopeful we can get a little money back on them.
Good. There a motion for approval?
I make
So moved, Mayor.
Ms. Erdley got the motion and Marvin, you got the second. Thank you all. If there are any questions for the chief, if not, all in favor say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Thank you. And now we're down to item 14 on the agenda, council comments. And again, I'm going to take you just the way you're on my screen. And that's kind of an electronic random choice. But Marvin, you're in the upper left corner tonight.
Mayor, have we received any more of the CARES Act money yet?
No, sir. We still are confident, Marvin, that we're gonna max out our $2.4 million eligibility, but we're still putting together our second application.
Well, that's very important. I know that we're anticipating that coming in. We hope it does come in sooner than later.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Anything else, Marvin?
No, just y'all have a great evening.
Thank you. Connie?
Would this be the appropriate time to talk about Halloween?
Anytime you want to talk about Halloween is a good time to talk about Halloween.
Well, it's the, you know what, we don't have to right now because I'm just thinking it's the 28th of September, so we can wait till October. I don't have anything else.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Karen?
Actually, I'll piggyback on what Connie said. I actually don't think if we can talk about Halloween and set a date. I mean, we're a month out basically, and I think parents might like to know what they're thinking that they're going to do, because a lot of the neighborhoods are trying to get together and organize their own, which is fine if they do, but it'd be kind of nice to let the folks know if we plan on doing trick or treat on Saturday and on the 31st and what times we're going to do that. Can we do it tonight outside of it being on the agenda?
We can. So the guidance they're giving is that you have to notice meetings as special meetings, but if they're held on the same day and time as your regularly scheduled meetings, you're
Okay.
not fully limited to your agenda. So it's okay to discuss. And honestly, it's okay to set the date as well. But if you're
Okay.
wanting to get a preliminary date, that's certainly appropriate. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if any of the council have a problem with going on and telling folks that the 31st and then set the time for it. If anybody's got a problem with trick or treat or not, overwhelmingly, the mayor was talking about me doing the Facebook, the preemptive post on Facebook, and I got a lot of comments. And like I said, there was a few that were still cautious, but that's why I think the parks thing that they're doing would be excellent. And then we go ahead and set up trick or treat for the city and then let the citizens do it according to our time. And then if people want to participate, they do. And if they don't, they don't. And then let them get that freedom of choice. So I would kind of like, if you all are ready to go on and set the date now, and then people can start, they got plenty of time to plan what the city's going to do.
Well, I'm like you, Karen. I think we should do it on Saturday. It's a great night for it. Saturday night, 6 to 8.
Mm-hmm.
And on the 31st, and just let it be.
Okay. All right.
I think
It's
that's
good.
I think that's good. A good idea.
The only thing I'll ask the council,
Sure.
we set a practice. We always do, when we've announced trick or treating, we've always done it on Halloween night, because we've all learned the hard way that it is a mistake to ever change it off of Halloween night. We also know that the times are always 6 to 8. So the Saturday night of Halloween from 6 to 8 would be pretty well understood. My only question, and again, I'm not going to discourage anyone from trick or treating. I'm not going to bother a parent or a child that chooses to trick or treat. But do we want the city to specifically authorize by vote an activity that's not consistent with CDC guidelines? It's just a question. Y'all can do what you wish, but I'm just asking the question. We're not going to prohibit anybody, but is it smart for us to promote behavior that the CDC has discouraged? And I don't want to be the Grinch that stole Halloween. That's why I preface this by saying folks can do whatever they choose and we're going to be happy for them. Should our stamp of approval go on it? Devin, that's my question.
You asking for my opinion?
No, I said that's my question.
Okay, to the council. Okay. I was gonna say, I don't know if this is my wheelhouse.
No, it's probably not. It shouldn't be your wheelhouse, as a matter of fact. So I'm happy. If y'all want to do a vote, I'm happy to take it.
Yeah, actually, maybe it is Devin's wheelhouse, because what you're saying, are we doing something again that if the CDC guidelines stay consistent, which they change every couple of days, but if they stay consistent, then do we have any legal responsibility if we put this on Halloween, set it up on Halloween? But I kind of think it's nice for the town to say, okay, if you want to go trick or treating, here's the hours that we think it's best to go trick or treating in the town. Then if people are wanting to participate in their homes or with their kids, they know these are the best hours for us to be out wandering the streets of Georgetown during these times. And so I still think it's best if we say, okay, we know you all want trick or treat. You're going to have it whether we say so or not. So it's best to set the time and here's the time, here's the opportunity. If you want to participate, do it at your own risk and participate. But
Sure. And I'm good with whatever you all decide on this one. If there's a motion and a council vote, we can move. It's whatever you all want to do.
well, I'll make a motion for Halloween to Georgetown to say Halloween for Georgetown is on the 31st from 6 to 8 o'clock on the 31st of October.
I'll second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Arlene.
Tammy has a question. Tammy has a question.
Yes, ma'am, Tammy.
So in the past, are we sanctioning it in the past when we say we let the newspaper know, the newspaper puts it up, the website, city website says when it is? In the past, are we sanctioning it in the past and we're just doing what we always do?
Yes.
Largely, I don't know anymore.
I know, okay.
It shouldn't be this complicated.
Well, I'm all for it. I think it would be great. I think we need to do it sooner rather than later because people need to plan. I love the idea of the parks doing it, but I would love it if when we tell people that these are the hours that you can go in Georgetown, that we would say, if you're handing out candy, please turn your light on, please wear a mask, please have packaged candy only. I would love it if we would be able to ask people to do that. Are we able to do that?
Tammy, I'll answer that. I think that parents as a whole, they're going to go through their children's candy when they bring it home. And if there's anything out of package, they're going to get rid of it. Like Tom said, the mayor said, it doesn't have to be complicated. It's really, I would leave it up to the parent as to whether or not they want to let their child go. But if we do, we've always sanctioned it on Halloween. We always try to keep it on the 31st, no matter what time, what day through the week it is. We try to keep it on the 31st because that's Halloween. And it's usually 6 to 8. It has been all the years that I've been on council. We're just in this situation, and I just think we should leave it up to the parents if they go. And if people want to hand it out, they'll have their light on. And if not, that's always been the rule.
And
Not anything different.
Karen actually phrased it correctly, but I think it's always been this way, that we make it clear we set a time when the expectation is that people may go, but then they can make a decision about whether or not they wish to.
Okay, if it's like that, then there shouldn't be a problem.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Are y'all comfortable with the vote at this point?
Yes.
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 All right. All in favor say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Thank you. Arlene has been keeping up with some cities around us have done, and she texted me right before the meeting started and said that everybody's a little bit different, but they're generally accommodating trick or treat. So,
Good.
And I think that's what our intention was.
Well, Mayor.
Promising we wouldn't handcuff any children.
Mayor.
Yes, sir, Marvin.
One thing about it, they're not inside in a group. They're outside walking in the fresh air. And that's going to be a lot better than, I think, having them in a building or something. So having a party. I think this is probably just as easy as anything we've ever done. Let it be like we did on the 31st, same time. Parents want them to go, take your kids trick or treating.
Sounds good. Thank you, Marvin. Karen, anything else?
Just one more thing, a simple thing. On DeGarris Mill Road, there's some bushes that are kind of grown out into the street some, and the traffic flow is having trouble seeing around it to pull out into the traffic. If you just have Public Works go out there and take a look at that.
Okay. Tracy, you got that? Thank you. Okay.
That's it.
Okay, Mark?
I'm good, thank you.
All right, thank you. Polly?
Nothing? Good.
Thanks. Tammy?
All good. Thank you.
You're welcome. David?
No, sir. All good. Thank you.
Okay. And Todd?
I have nothing. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Stacy, Chase, I think that's it. Is there anything else to come before the council this evening?
No.
All right. Well, thank you all very much. Meeting is adjourned.